For those who don't know, bean soup theory is a pithy, catchy name given to the notion that sharing information online will always be met with opposing commenters who ask for the information to be reconsidered according to that viewer's specific wants and needs. For example, here's a recipe for bean soup being met with, okay, but what if I don't like beans? Others have tried calling this the "what about me" effect, and the reason why people want to put a name to it is that it happens all the time. People will interact with social media in ways that suggest they can't read, can't make inferences, aren't paying attention, and expect their screens to speak directly to them as a person. But an important facet of that original bean soup story is frequently omitted. In the inciting incident, the TikToker sharing a recipe for bean soup was sharing the recipe as part of a series on what to eat to deal with period symptoms. So, those who were asking for a beanless alternative were not asking for a bean-free version of bean soup, but rather a bean-free meal to serve as a remedy for menstrual woes. And that's a fair request. Someone might see that recipe, consider its benefits, and then ask, is the legume the specific component that cures what ails me, or are there alternatives based on other ingredients? The underlying sentiment of bean soup theory is relatable. When I post material online, a scary number of viewers behave as if I'm talking right to them. I'll post, "Why are restaurant burritos better than homemade?" and they'll say, "They're not." I'll post about how to sear ground beef without it turning gray, and they'll say, "This is how I already cook ground beef." It's so hard to imagine what that's like, swiping through a feed like, "What are the top 10 SUVs to buy in 2026?" and then commenting, "I already have a car." Some people interact with social media in a way that suggests that they expect a bespoke feed of custom-made content. But, like all things that proliferate via TikTok and Reels, the term bean soup theory morphed and inflated beyond meaning or reason. So-called theories are something that you can collect and subscribe to, just like influencers. They're digestible and believable because they don't require viewers to understand the full breadth of factors regarding complex issues. They are valuable and shareable because viewers can keep those theories in their back pocket for use in cocktail party banter. The best cocktail party banter shows that you're aware of complex issues, but doesn't get too controversial or pedantic. Someone might say, "The housing market is such a wreck," and a phrase like, "Yeah, thanks to BlackRock, there's nothing left for the rest of us," is excellent cocktail party banter, so long as nobody points out that BlackRock and Blackstone are two different companies. I've kicked this video down the road for months, thinking it not important enough to go on the main channel, but upon reflection, it's clear that I'm uniquely positioned to speak on it. For one, I'm a food influencer. I understand that social media users love to use stupid little terms and phrases to signal in-speak, like, "Babe, wake up, this wasn't on my 2026 bingo card." Certain turns of phrases may make the writer feel fashionable or on trend. Have you noticed how people who are the first to comment on a video no longer say, "first"? That's dated and lame. Only a cringe elder millennial would post "first." The dignified youth opt instead for "insane refresh pull." The other half of my position to speak on this is that I am old enough to remember the pre-social media 90s, when a food story going viral meant that it was remembered forever rather than forgotten in a matter of days. For the youngins out there, the McDonald's hot coffee case happened in 1992. A 79-year-old lady spilled a cup of McDonald's coffee on herself, suffering third-degree burns that required hospitalization. She sought $20,000 to cover her medical bills, but McDonald's refused to settle, leading to a trial where evidence revealed the company had received hundreds of prior burn complaints and knowingly served coffee at dangerously high temperatures. The case was misrepresented in popular culture as a symbol of frivolous litigation, obscuring the severity of her injuries and McDonald's documented negligence. To me, a direct line can be drawn from this case to bean soup theory because they're both examples of context collapse. Complaining about the $2.5 million lawsuit is a lot like complaining about bean soup comments if you only see the broad strokes. The average netizen hasn't yet internalized this, and I know because people congratulate me on my follower count, but social media is no longer centered around subscribers and followers. It's all about views now. TikTok creators are expected to show their work to a new audience every day, not just to a group of followers who have consumed any prerequisite information. As somewhat of a social media insider, I'm just trying to make one seemingly misunderstood facet of these platforms clear. In 2026, to post material online is to consent for that material to be shared with strangers across the world without any context for who you are and what you do and why you do it. That's great news for people who run accounts where they just post the exact same video 10 times a day, every single day, or for people who produce rage bait, for those who delight in being able to say, haha, everyone but me understands that this is a joke. But it's bad news for someone who might post bean soup recipes for anemic cooks on their period who need supplemental iron. In the olden days of being online, your followers would know what they're in for. These days, you're rewarded significantly more for throwing people off. In an effort to make your time spent listening to me feel like you've learned something today, here's my final thesis. Modern platforms incentivize confusion and disorientation. It's not a stretch to suggest that tech companies will prioritize time on platform over user satisfaction. Maybe, to make my supposition sound smarter and more shareable, I'll call it blue text theory. Keep watching and I'll tell you why. Speaking in a vague or cryptic way that makes someone go, hey, wait, what's blue text theory and why is everyone in the comments talking about it? Increases time on platform. Someone might leave a comment asking for more explanation, like, what is blue text theory? Certain words within that comment might turn blue, thus turning those words into a tappable hyperlink that can initiate a search query. TikTok started this, but Reddit has a blue text feature now, so does YouTube. They are so unhelpful. The YouTube one seems to just highlight words within the comments at random. The idea is that users will see that words on the screen have turned blue, tap that blue text, and then the app will perform a search of those words so the user goes down a new rabbit hole. Blue text theory suggests that platforms and content creators are both massively incentivized to keep media consumers confused so that they can serve you with the remedy for said confusion in a way that maximizes time on platform. Twitter users call this vague posting, and it has a name because it's a really effective way to earn money at the detriment of readers. Take some information, suggest something about it, but don't actually say what you're suggesting, and then reap the sweet rewards of engagement. So yes, comment leavers tend to be annoying. They always have been, and they always will be. But the newer twist is that the platforms are rewarding the act of stripping away context and making us confused on purpose to keep engagement high. Rage bait is valuable. Mistakes are lucrative, and doing things in a weird, confusing way is the path to more money. Bean soup is hot coffee. You were curious enough to wonder why? And now you know. Just wait until you figure out Bing Bong with the Shim Sham. Trade has paid to be mentioned at the end of this video. It's hot outside, real hot. That means I'm hunkering down. I have zero desire to grab a $9 iced latte and walk around while the ice melts. I'm staying right here, inside, and making cafe quality mud out of freshly roasted beans. Trade makes that possible because they mail me a bag of coffee beans every 10 days. Not regular old grocery store coffee beans, which are old and stale, but beans from a really good roaster that were roasted right before getting packed up and shipped my way. I can taste the difference. I can enjoy black coffee, be it hot or iced. You might not be much of a coffee nerd, Lord knows I never was, but they offer a survey that you can take to get matched with your ideal coffees. Whatever they send you after you finish that quiz will be good enough to notice a difference. And if for any reason you don't actually like it, Trade will replace it for free as part of their first bag guarantee policy. Right now, Trade is offering up to 30% off new coffee subscriptions at drinktrade.com/Shaquille. That's drinktrade.com/Shaquille to get up to 30% off your first subscription. drinktrade.com/Shaquille.